Welcome. I wanted to get started with some more photo editing and retouching, maybe a little bit more intermediate techniques and going in depth on doing some editing on this first photo. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and unlock my background layer and zoom in. And what I want to do with this picture is I want to go ahead and delete some of these little things. These are things that clients will sometimes ask you to clean up on a particular photo before we use it on a design piece. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're also going to do some slight touches to the lighting and some other details. So let's first get started. I'm going to go ahead and grab, when I kind of look at this, I kind of grab the clone tool first to kind of see if that would work out the best. Go ahead and select our layer, hold out Option or Alt, and I'm just going to click the nearby skin, take a sample, and cover it up. But notice that was kind of darker, so let's get a smaller brush. And let's do the lighter side, see if that works out a little better. That does. And I just rinse and repeat. Just slowly, and I might need to make my brush a lot smaller for these smaller blemishes. So take a sample, small brush, and you could do this throughout the piece. And I'm just clicking a nearby sample, so I'm sampling a new piece of skin each time I click. So sample and click, sample, click, sample, click. You can see your skin already starting to look a little more clear. These blemishes are going away. Just some small editing. Little details, click. And so you'll have some more complicated areas here. So you have kind of maybe where a strap was and it's leaving a little bit of a mark. So we're going to need to replace this little mole here. So let me take a sample. The nearby sample has this mark on it. So let me take a sample here and let's make the brush a little bit bigger. And sometimes when I have kind of a shape kind of coming across the sample, I'll create a new layer. I'll go ahead and click on that new layer, and that actually looks pretty good, so I don't need to do too much with it. So that's fine. So I could probably merge these layers since I'm happy with it. Just doing Command E, a little quick shortcut to merge layers, Command E. I'm going to take a quick pause from the other photo we were editing to show you why sometimes I create new layers when I clone. So I'm going to go ahead and make a bigger clone brush for this one. And here's the original background layer. I'm going to create my new layer. Go back down to my original. Go ahead and take a sample. What I want to do is I want to clean up this kind of rough area. I just want to make that straight. So I'm going to take a sample of something clean nearby. Go back to our layer sample, and I'll be able to kind of clean it up pretty easily. And I might have to take another nearby sample and go back. And I love having it on a separate layer because see how it has some overlap right here? So here's our separate layer that we did the clone tool. I can easily clean it up because if it was all merged on one layer, I'd have a hard time cleaning up that rough edge. So I'm just going to go around here, kind of clean up that rough edge. Okay. Now we can go back in with maybe the eraser tool and do some fine tuning. But you'll notice why I sometimes do the clone tool on a separate layer so you can have a little bit more control over different things. You can rinse, wash, and repeat. And this is really good with certain angles as well when you're trying to clone things that have an angle. So now I'm back to my original photo I was editing, and I want to go ahead and get rid of this little indentation right here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. Let's go ahead and, I'm not sure what layer that is. I'm going to go ahead and merge these two. Control E, I have my new layer. So grab my clone tool, let's get a much smaller brush. Maybe right about there would be perfect. Go ahead and grab our sample skin. I want to go ahead and get rid of this. So let's grab the darker sample skin up here. Let's bring it down here and do as much as I can. Click and release. Go back here, grab another sample right here, and click and release. You continue to do that until you're happy with the skin. Oh, I don't like that. You could kind of see it going away. It's not quite as smooth as I'd like, but we can go back and fix that. Maybe sample that skin, come back here. We can blend the colors a little better when we come back. I'm just going to continue to do this till I'm happy with it. Okay, I don't like this. This looks too blurry, so I'm just going to take a sharper piece of skin, put it right there. Or sometimes I can even reduce the opacity of my clone tool and do the same thing, and it won't be such a strong effect. I went ahead and zoomed out and just kind of looking at kind of everything in detail. If I'm pretty happy with that, and I can actually, let's see if I scale this layer back, the opacity, it blends a little better. There we go, just a little bit. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and do Command E. I'm going to merge my layers. So now we have just one layer. And I'm going to do the same thing with her face. So I can go ahead and zoom in, and this is practicing using the clone tool, and a little more intermediate level skills. So let's get our clone tool. Okay, I can create a new layer. I don't always have to. If I feel pretty confident, I can cover a blemish without having to edit individual things. So let's, we got a hair here too. So I need to take a clear skin sample up here. Maybe do it right here. Oh, I have my opacity at 47%, so let me just make sure that's 100%. There we go. It's going to cover enough. Sometimes blemishes are easy, just like that. Click next to it. I don't even have to create a separate layer because I'm pretty confident that it will blend well. And let me do a darker one. There we go. And this is when sometimes it's a very small detail. But sometimes this is when it's nice to create that extra layer. So I'm going to go ahead and not create an extra layer. Take a sample of this nearby and click. But you'll notice it has this really kind of white part. You could definitely tell where I've covered it up. So let's create a new layer. Let's do the same thing, just on a new layer. So let me take my sample layer, go back to this layer, and click. So now I can adjust some things on this individual layer. So I can make it just slightly darker. I'm just going to go to Image Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast. I'm just going to reduce the brightness a little bit, just to kind of match the skin a little bit better. So that looks, it doesn't look quite, it doesn't scream at you. Here I covered this up. Let me zoom back out. We can see our piece a little bit better. I'm just kind of covering up some small things, very minor details. So let me grab my clone tool. Let me do this blemish right here. Same thing, you could tell it's much brighter. I can't seem to find the right skin sample. Maybe right here. So let me create a new layer. Take my sample on my picture. Layer, maybe right there, as close as I can to the original skin. Click there. It looks pretty good, but I'm just going to go to Adjustments, and I can make it slightly darker or brighter to better match the nearby skin. There you go.